Let's Renovate a Bathroom, a Build original series brought to you by Schluter Systems.
Hey everyone, I'm Zack Dettmore, and today in this 1911 Foursquare on the Build Show, I'm introducing a brand new Build Original series called Let's Renovate a Bathroom. We're going to show you all the steps in this awesome old house. Let's get to it.
So welcome to the bathroom. This is the first episode. This is the one we're going to be renovating, and it's got a lot of great things going on. But let's start with the first thing. Is this a project you want to do it yourself, DIY like I'm doing, or do you want to hire a professional contractor? There's a couple things to consider there. The first thing is really how much time you have. If you're going to remodel a bathroom, it's going to take hundreds of hours, and if you're doing that labor yourself, how are you fitting it into your schedule? If you're going to hire a contractor, it's probably because you're busy. It's going to cost you perhaps more money, but it could also probably take you a lot less time, and you're not going to fall to the pitfalls and mistakes that you would probably make as a DIYer because a contractor has probably done it before. When considering hiring a contractor, there's a couple things you want to keep in mind, and that's really what you're looking for. What motivates you? Do you want a high level of execution? Do you want to hit a really stringent budget? Do you want it to be done quickly? Because most contractors can't necessarily do all three of them. For example, our business, Dettmore Home Improvements, we're going to be a great choice if you want it really well executed and you want it done on time. We're not going to be the cheapest option, but some people are perfectly fine going with a more affordable option because it meets their budget. We like to think of our projects as being put together and executed to a very high degree, but not everyone needs that type of architectural significance in their bathroom renovation. It's just a room where you brush your teeth and you use the toilet. Maybe that's not important to you, and that's perfectly fine, but having a conversation about what motivates you will help you pick the right contractor. In general, whenever you're picking a contractor, you want to check their references, see what their work's like, and see what other clients who have used them are saying about them. It's important, if you want to have a conversation with a contractor, to bring a budget and a scope of work to them. Don't expect them to give you an estimate and just show them a room and say, I want this bathroom renovated, because they have no idea if the tile is going to be purchased at the home center and it's on sale and clearance, or if the tile you're purchasing is imported from Italy and maybe needs to be sealed, or maybe needs some sort of special handling, or if they break one of them, will cost them $100 a square foot to replace. So before you make a hire, you should really be figuring out how much you're comfortable spending. And Steve Basic, one of the amazing contributors on the Build Show, says something that always resonates with me, and that's, if you can't come up with a budget, what's a number in your mind that scares you? Does it scare you to spend $30,000 on a bathroom? 60, 70, 80, 90, 120? There's a number that scares you, and once you figure that number out, you can work backwards to figure out what you can afford to put in that bathroom. In general, I think if you're going to do a DIY bathroom remodel, if you live in a house that was built in the last 30 years, that's going to be an easier process because the infrastructure will be better. You're probably going to have PVC pipes, you're probably going to have relatively new subfloor, and there will be less structural deficiencies. If you're working in a house that's over 100 years old like this one, it might be better to subcontract that out. There are a lot of things to worry about, such as asbestos or lead paint or structural deficiencies, brass pipes. If you did a remodel and you left some of that old infrastructure, it can be a major problem, and you may not know what you're looking at and what's at risk of leaking in the future. So in general, when I'm looking at an old bathroom like this, I'm thinking a couple things. The first thing I think is all the plumbing's getting replaced, all the electric's getting replaced. Now there are exceptions, like where the stack passes above the roof. For example, if this was a finished bedroom above me, maybe I would leave that section of stack, but I'm definitely going to replace that cast iron pipe because I know that they can rust over time, and if that fails in the wall in a new bathroom, it's a much more affordable repair to do now while I have the place gutted. Another thing is to think about is brass pipes. If you have brass pipes, they're going to corrode, they're going to have a lot of obstructions in the middle from mineral buildups. We want to get brass pipes out of here and get new lines pulled from the basement. They can be PEX, they can be copper, the new ones, but think about the aging infrastructure within the house and bringing it up to code. And that's why a DIY project might be in a newer house where maybe you're only learning how to set tile, you're only learning how to do carpentry, you're not learning how to do all of the complexities of plumbing and electrical. The other thing that you want to think about is every time you hire a remodeler to do a job, there's going to be shortcuts that they took. So the fewer times a bathroom has been remodeled since the house was built, the more likely you are to uncover fewer catastrophic errors. So this bathroom we're standing in, I know this house was built in 1911, and I can look at the color in here. I know that this is not an original bathroom. Typically they were black and white. So this tells me this bathroom was renovated somewhere between 1940 and 1960, I would say, but it hasn't been renovated since. So we're only talking about one remodeler worth of errors I'm going to have to fix, versus if this bathroom looked like it was done in the 90s, I'm speculating it was done at least twice. And that means it's twice as likely to have errors. Sometimes we have a bathroom that's been remodeled 5, 6 times, and I can't tell you, you start pulling back layers. You may pull tile off and find more tile behind it. You might pull a ceiling down and find another ceiling above it, and it just ups your demo budget, and it ups the complexity of the job and the frustration of the job. So looking around as a homeowner, you may say, I think I can handle this because it's an original bathroom to this house. That seems easy, versus if you say, man, there's a lot of layers. This looks like it could be really complex. It looks like it's done several times. It's more likely you're going to have some issues and the project's going to cost more. So you should plan for that. If you think it's going to cost $10,000 and you can tell it's been done several times, then assume it's going to cost $20,000 or a bit more, right? So let's talk about what's salvageable within a bathroom. Every bathroom is going to be different, but in general, the fixtures in a bathroom, this room is pretty much the most expensive room per square foot in a whole house. So is there anything you can save to put it towards your budget? So we'll just look around this bathroom and we'll say, technically we could save maybe a shower head, the trim. This toilet, however, has obviously been replaced relatively recently. Maybe that's something you could save. One thing I really like to look at and save is original fixtures such as sinks, bathtubs, and medicine cabinets, because they can be really interesting. So a bathtub is something you may want to consider saving. I've saved a lot of bathtubs, and here's some things to look for. If a bathtub is in the attic of a house or the bathroom that got very little use, typically it's more likely to be salvageable. This is the primary bathroom of the house. It's on the second floor right off the bedrooms. So this tub, I see some damage. I see some rust, some cracking, and some chips. But aside from that, I don't want to use this bathtub because it doesn't work with my design. One, because it's pink, and one, because it has a unfinished edge, so it's basically a corner tub, not an alcove tub. An alcove tub would sit in between 3 walls, where this is a corner tub. And my new design, I really want an alcove tub for a couple reasons. So due to the fact that it's this color, it's damaged, and it's a corner tub, I'm not going to advise saving this. And one common pitfall homeowners make is they try and carry these out as one piece. I would recommend breaking it up with a sledgehammer with hearing protection, eye protection. You hit this with a sledgehammer, and then you can take it out in smaller pieces, and it'll be much easier. A new cast iron tub is significantly lighter than these original old ones, so this can be a real bear to take out. In other homes, I've saved dozens of tubs. Typically though, I'm saving green tubs, blue tubs, yellow tubs. The pink ones can be hard to work with, especially because you have to find the right hue if you're trying to match it with other retro fixtures or trying to match it with other tiles. So in general, I love saving old pieces because they're better built, they're higher quality, and you're saving money on the end of the budget, but this particular one's going to go away. So now we're going to prepare the space for demolition. And the first thing we want to do is remove any items we want to save. In this bathroom, the only item I want to save is the sink. Not for my personal use, but it will be used in either a different one of my renovations, or I'll give it away to fellow general contractors for them to use in their own. The other thing we want to do is potentially cap electrical and plumbing. So this could be as easy as figuring out what electricity is flowing to this room and having an electrician turn that breaker off or remove that breaker, or the lines could be capped in the wall. For this bathroom renovation, because the whole house is under construction and I do not need to keep utilities up and running, we're gonna go ahead and make that disconnect in the panel. But you could just as well open up boxes and have an electrician cap them, or if you're confident, cap them yourself. The same thing for the plumbing. I could come over here, break a hole in this wall, and then I could put some caps. Typically, we'll use a push to connect cap. We'll slide it on. You prep the pipe by sanding the edge, use a pipe cutter, and you can just slide this on. And that means if water is turned on for any reason, the water won't flow out, and it means the demolition contractor won't risk flooding something below. So typically we like to turn off the electric and the plumbing to the room before the demolition contractor starts. And that's something you can have your electrician and plumber do, or if it's your personal house and you're DIYing it, you can do it yourself. So here's a look at a push to connect cap. This is for 1/2-inch pipe. It'll work for both PEX, CPVC, PVC, and copper. It's as long as the outside dimension is correct. Typically, feeding bathrooms, you're going to have 1/2-inch pipes for most houses. Some newer homes with larger bathrooms may have 3/4 lines feeding, and you would just need a 3/4-inch cap to cap those. In general, most houses you're going to find of an aging demographic are going to have copper pipes, so you can use a pipe cutter like this. You will turn it around the pipe, and then you'll be able to just simply slide this on and cap it off. So one thing to know about older homes is that the wall assembly is different, meaning you have 2x4 studs, then lath, which is typically pieces of wood, or it can be a wire mesh. That happened sort of probably between 1920 and 1940. They switched to wire mesh, but basically then they have a really heavy scratch coat of plaster and then a finish coat of plaster over the top. So what that means is basically you're gonna have a bigger, dustier demolition, and it's gonna be more work. It's gonna be a thicker wall. A lot of these historic tile jobs also have this build out. So you can see this top cap tile is actually curved, and it's actually covering a mud job. So there's mortar, thick mortar, maybe 3/4 of an inch thick, that's applied to this wall. And that's gonna create a lot of debris and dirt and dust. So just prepare yourself when you're walking into an older bathroom that the demolition of the tile is going to be significantly more. And that also is the same case with the floor system. A lot of people start demoing the floor, and what they find is you have the joists, right? And in the middle, there's actually planks, and the mud or the mortar is sitting in between the joists, and then oftentimes the joists are peaked off. So just the top of the joist is sticking through that mud job, and the tile is set on top of that. And the easy thing to do would be to remove the tile and sort of leave that mud there and put plywood on top of it. And a lot of people do that. And that's why in a lot of old houses you have this big step up to get into the bathroom. The problem with that is it can be very difficult to run new plumbing and electrical when you're dealing with all of these obstructions between the joists. So the proper thing to do is to not only remove the tile, but the mud bed and the bits of wood that are supporting that mud bed between the joists, because then you can clean everything out. You have a nice light open area. You could put insulation in there, but you can also run new pipes, and you can get a look at the floor system and make sure there's no large gaps or cracks or damage that's going to compromise your work. So one thing to know about a bathroom renovation is you really want to understand how long it's going to take and how much it's going to cost. So let's talk about how long it's going to take first. The thing about a bathroom remodel is you can't just throw labor into a bathroom. You can really only fit 1 or 2 people in a bathroom at a time. It gets even more complex when the floor system is open and you don't have anywhere to walk. So we used to do a lot of bathroom renovations with a team of 3, and we would typically have someone outside cutting, maybe 1 person or 2 people in the bathroom. But the bottom line is you can't do it in a week, because you can't fit a demo crew, a tile crew, a drywall crew, an electrician, all these people in a job and sort of have them phasing and working at the same time like you would in a whole house in a bathroom. It just doesn't work that way. The space is too small. So they do take longer. If you are pulling permits, which you should, then you're going to have inspections. I can't speak for the whole country, But in general, the inspection schedule would look something like this for this bathroom. We would have an electrical inspection, a plumbing inspection, we'll have a framing inspection, an insulation inspection, and then we'll have a finished plumbing, electric, and framing or building inspection at the end. So 7 inspections. And these inspections may take time to schedule. They may take time to wait for the inspector, because in the area I live, you don't know, they're not going to show up in 24 hours. It might take a week or two for them to show up. Hopefully they'll come in less than a week, and they may not tell you what time of day. So you may be burning through project time just waiting for those inspections to happen. Now, in my area specifically, if you live in a single family home, you can pull a permit and do a bathroom renovation yourself. You don't necessarily need a permit if you are just swapping things. So, for example, if you're pulling out a vanity and putting a new vanity in, or pulling out a toilet and putting a new toilet in the same place, you don't need a permit. But if you are taking that toilet out and replumbing it and fixing everything and opening all the walls, you would need a permit. And it's important to understand that the inspector is going to want to look at the plumbing you're doing and the electric you're doing in the gutted space. So in general, I don't think it's possible to do a bathroom renovation of this type with a permit in less than 4 weeks. I don't think it should take more than 10 weeks, but it's important to have your expectations set correctly. Now, the accessibility of the job is important. If you have a room to store materials, it will take less time. If you have a quick municipality, it will take less time. And if you have effective organization on the onset, you will have more time. So let's talk about what these things cost. In general, if you're going to hire a professional who has a licensed electrician, a licensed plumber, and is subbing to people who are using employees, meaning they have workman's compensation and all the correct insurance, I don't think you can expect for this type of bathroom where you have old infrastructure and you're replumbing everything to spend less than $15,000. Now, where I live, that number is more like $30,000 because of the cost of labor. So it's unlikely you're going to get a bathroom that's well executed for less than $30,000. Now, that doesn't mean it's not possible to do it for less, but you're probably going for a different approach than what I'm speaking about, which is one general contractor who's subbing to multiple people. A lot of bathroom specialists can get their prices down because they don't have to deal with the scheduling and they don't carry the same insurance we do. So it might be one person who's performing the demolition, the tile, the framing, etc. So just know that. But if you are hiring a general contractor and they're going to tell you, no, we'll do the electric and plumbing ourselves, that's typically illegal in most municipalities in the country to perform electrical and plumbing if you're not a licensed electrician or a plumber. So bear that in mind. So budget really is tied directly in with design, and there's a couple things we want to talk about. One of my favorite quotes from a friend of mine from Helm Construction, Mel, they say, don't start the project until you're ready to finish it. And that's what I'd like to talk about. So if you are not capable of designing the project in the first place, you're going to be designing it during construction. Construction's a stressful, busy time, and you want your analytical mind focused on getting the job done, not picking out tile. All of that can be done ahead of time with the tools that are available. So let's talk about the first one, and that's going to be a really simple one you can do yourself, and that's called a mood board. You can hire an interior designer to do this, or you can do it yourself, but basically all it is putting some of the components of the bathroom together on a page and seeing how you feel about the way they look. Here we have a tub, the floor tile, a vanity, the faucet, some light fixtures, the shower head, and we see them together and we say, what's the mood of this? Do we like this? This is something you could present to a homeowner if you're a designer, but it gives them a feel for what this bathroom's going to look like, right? You can tell here we're going for a classic bathroom that would have fit in this house. Subway tile, white hex on the floor. These are staples that would have existed in this house, and that's why we're picking this. We're not trying to push some sort of new trendy architecture or design with this. We're just trying to respect what was originally in the house with this design, but make it functional for a family living in 2024. So the next thing you want to do is create a floor plan. This can be as simple as measuring the floor and drawing it out yourself on graph paper, or it can be as complex as scanning the room with a LiDAR and having it imported into rendering software. So basically what you want to do is have a floor plan. This might be important if you are subcontracting this project to a contractor, or you need to apply for permits. You want to know what the existing condition is and show the changes. So we've done that here, and we've also created an electrical plan of exactly where the light fixtures are. Once you have this, it's also very beneficial to create elevations. So an elevation is just a cross section of a wall, and you should have all the walls, because that's going to tell the people doing the work, is there tile on this wall? How much tile is there? Where is the towel bar located? How high is it from the floor? Where is the switch located? Does the medicine cabinet you pick work with the sconces? Will it get hit by the faucet? So you can work through a lot of these complex design issues ahead of time simply by creating elevations and just looking and making sure things fit. So an elevation is, in my opinion, a step that must not be skipped if you're proceeding with a bathroom renovation. Now, if you're doing it yourself, it's possible that you do not need an elevation because you are the person making the decisions. You can decide, oh, I'm going to move this light here, and I don't need to communicate that to anyone. But if you're hiring a contractor, someone needs to communicate that information to the contractor, and it also, the elevation will hold the contractor accountable. Should the light be too high, you can tell them, look, this is what I presented you with, and I put dimensions on it. If you don't put dimensions on it, then it's up to the contractor's ability to scale off the drawing and hope that the paper you printed it on is scalable, meaning that 1 foot equals 1/4 of an inch, etc. So in general, whenever possible, a good designer will add dimensions showing this is how high an outlet is, this is how high a towel bar is, this is how high the mirror is. Between a mood board and elevations and floor plan, you pretty much have everything you need aside from the materials you need to select. So it is important when you're thinking about budget to make selections about all the materials you need. I'll give you a rough overview of some of the things you need to pick out for a bathroom. I may not get all of them, but these are the main items, and you should select 100% of them before you start construction. And that doesn't mean you can't change and pivot, but you need to have a plan for everything, because if you don't have a plan, you're going to be ripping things out and changing them when they don't fit. So let's start at the top. You're going to have to pick tiles typically, or an acrylic liner of some sort. You're going to need a floor structure, but in our renovations, it's typically everything's tiled. So you're going to do floor tile, wall tile, shower tile. If there's an accent, if there's a niche, pick all those tiles, pick the grout color, and pick the spacing of the tile. All of that is crucial. Sinks, you're going to need vanity sinks. Is it a pedestal sink? What is going on with the sink? Is it undermount? Is it a vessel sink? Toilets, is it a standard? Is it low? Is it a wall-mounted toilet? For the bathtub or shower, are you doing a bathtub and shower? It's pre-assembled. What does it look like? Do you have a tub, faucets? Plumbing can be very complex. It's good to work with a plumbing supplier and not necessarily buy that stuff online yourself, because they'll make sure you have all the parts you need. Sometimes you purchase these things online if you don't have experience with that, and you'll only get the trim. You may not get the pieces that go in the wall, and that can affect your timeline and your budget. So I recommend working with a local plumbing supply house to get the materials you need. They will guide you through it if you don't have experience with that. That's what the professionals do, and they do it for a reason. So let's run through very quickly some of the decisions you need to make before you start, and this is the time to make it. Before you've done any work, pick everything in the bathroom. So let's start with tiles. Some people will have vinyl floor and acrylic liners, but for this, we're just talking about tile because that's what I'm using. So floor tile, wall tile, shower tile, accent tiles, pick your grout colors, pick your tile spacing, pick your tile orientation. All of this stuff is crucial to decide how much of it you'll need. If you pick a fat grout joint, you need more grout. If you pick a herringbone tile, you need more tile than if you just did a straight stack. So understanding, having all the decisions made, and not just some of them, is crucial for success. Pick out your sinks. Is it a pedestal? Is it a vanity? Is it an undermount? Is it a vessel? There's lots of selections there. Make that choice. Toilets. Is it a standard toilet? Is it a low toilet? Is it a wall-mounted toilet? Bathtub, shower. What does it look like? Are we doing a curtain? Are we doing glass? Faucets. Is it a wall-mounted faucet? So when you shave your beard, you don't have to clean under it. Or is it a deck-mounted faucet? Is it widespread? Or are they all together? Lighting. Are we doing recessed lights? Are we doing vanity lights? Are we doing niche lights? There's a lot of lights you can integrate, and you want to think about that. Mirrors. Are we doing a tall mirror? Is there more than one mirror? Where are they going? How much do they cost? Cabinetry and storage. So storage is important. We got a lot of stuff. Do you want to integrate a closet? Do you want a tall built-in cabinet? Are you going to do a medicine cabinet? Do you want to do an above the toilet? Are we doing countertops? Now, you can buy a stock vanity with a sink that's built in. That'll be more affordable. But if you want to have like a shower with a curb, do you want that curb to match the top? Because you may be bringing in more design details if you don't have the two match. So that might be an argument to spend more money and go with a custom top so it matches your curb and your niche details, for example. Accessories, so you're gonna need towel bars, towel rings, towel hooks, a lot of things that have to do with towels, right? Toilet paper holders, etc. Pick all that stuff. Pick your window treatments if you can. Paint, we like using and recommend using a bath specific paint. It's going to be more durable. Now, if you're going with a special tile like terrazzo, travertine, marble, do you need a sealer to keep and protect that product? Hardwares, you've got drawer pulls, you've got door handles, you've got all sorts of hardware that's going to come into that. Ventilation, you've got a vent fan going in the ceiling. That's pretty much required by code in most municipalities. So what type of technology is built into that? How powerful does it need to be? And do you need to buy a sidewall vent so it can exit out the side of your house? Do you want a countdown timer for that? I love using countdown timers because people never turn them off. So you just hit that button once when you get out of the shower and then it'll turn itself off after you leave the bathroom. Then you have to pick out trim, bath rugs, window treatments, and then that doesn't even begin to touch all of the rough materials you need to get, like framing and insulation, but we'll get into those at a later time. But understanding all the decisions you need to make is going to contribute to your budget. So if this seems like a lot, I recommend hiring an interior designer or a design build company or general contractor who can help you make these decisions, because the fact of the matter is you're going to have to make these decisions and it's necessary to make these decisions if you want to come up with a good budget. So you might as well make those decisions now so you're in control of the total project budget.
All right, so you're gonna do the demolition, right?
Yeah.
So introduce yourself to these people.
Oh, hi guys, how are you? I'm Baba of Quality Plus Demolition, and we're here to do some demo today.
All right, so what's the procedure? What are you gonna do first?
First, if you haven't mentioned, we usually like disconnect the plumbing, the electricals, like the cabinets, the sinks and all.
So get the big items out of the way.
Get the big items out of the way. Prepare ourselves for like getting the dust out.
Right, so we may have like a fan or a dust scrubber
right
in the window to keep that out.
We do like the trims and so, and then we get into it, we start breaking the walls down. We take the walls down, then usually we get to the ceilings after the wall. We do the ceilings, insulations, sometimes the nails, and then we get to the floor. Usually we save the floor for last because like it helps too with the cleaning procedure.
Right, and you can't get like a ladder in here necessarily once you've taken the floor out.
Exactly.
So pull all the nails out before that.
Right, and there's sometimes, depending on like the age of the house, where the subfloor could be bad, so you want to leave the floor because sometimes the sub is like, you know.
Right, and it's gonna be like if you don't leave the floor, you're gonna have to like get down and vacuum all that stuff out of the cavities, which is a pain.
Right.
All right, what do you think like when you have a new person working with you, what is like the mistakes they make? Like what are the things like to avoid?
So one of the common mistakes I see is most of the times it's really like getting the garbage out. Some of the times, especially if we're just demoing like a particular area, like this, let's say we're doing this bathroom, but somebody's occupying the house. You want to make sure that we go through and do the protection properly. We want to seal the areas off to prevent dust from going into where we're not trying to get it.
Right.
One of the most common mistakes I've seen is like the guy's taking the stuff out, probably hitting against areas, causing a little damage.
Right.
You know, but outside of that, usually like when people are new, we try to walk them through as much as possible, have them close, have them under the eyes so we could actually like guide them and make sure that there's no damages to the owner's property.
And how do you make sure you're not like breaking into other rooms? Like I've done, I don't know, maybe 40 jobs with you now, and you're never breaking the wall.
Oh, right. So good
next door, right?
Yeah, so usually like it's kind of technical, but what we have to do is walk through and find out what's where. Like, because of experience, you know that there are like pipes in the walls, there could be like HVAC in the walls, you go through, you hit your hammers and all, you break little areas to see what's going on, you get behind there, you see that there's a room or so. So for example, we're doing this wall here, we know that a room sits behind there, you want to take your time breaking it. You don't know just gonna hit very hard into it and go over there. Take your time breaking it in terms of like taking the wall. You do it more meticulously than aggressive. Like, you know, those are the ways that we protect like what's around where we're demoing.
Right. So just like anything, if you want to do good work, like usually slow is fast.
Slow and smooth.
Yeah. Not just like.
No, not
I hate when you see like a HGTV show and it's like demo day and they come in and they start like smashing things.
Because
and you're
most
like,
people think of demolition as just ripping things apart or just taking it down, when it's really more technical than that. Because if you're not taking the whole house down, if that's the approach that you take, you're going to get yourself in trouble, you know what I mean? So you just come through, you make sure you're patient with it, you make sure you go through smoothly. Always be on the lookout. Like, you could have protected somewhere, something could have like moved and all, so you just keep looking out, like keep reminding the guys that, hey, let's keep doing this, let's keep doing that. And we just like, these are like steps and practices that we do every day, so we just do this as a routine, so like it becomes cyclical for us. So, you know, that's how we basically.
That's good. I had a job once where the whole hallway was wallpaper and it was like 100 years old. So if we broke into that, we would have had to pay like, I don't even know how much money to fix it. So it's really, even though you may not think of it as like an extremely skilled job, if it's done poorly, it can cost thousands.
It costs you more than what you're trying to earn.
Yeah, exactly.
Which defeats the purpose.
Easily, like if a demolition of a bathroom is going to be like $1,000 to maybe $3,500, say, but if you just showed up and damaged the wallpaper, that would probably be like 10 grand.
10 grand.
Yeah.
Without even them in the bathroom just yet.
Yeah. So just like a plumber, electrician, don't cheap out on the demolition contract.
Right, definitely. And people some of the times tend to overlook this, but it's as technical as any other areas in building, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And that's why only got one demo guy.
Quality plus.
All right, dude. Thank you.
No problem, Zach.
That was sweet.
All right. So hopefully you learned something about how to prep a job for success in a bathroom remodel. Next time, we're going to be doing framing, we're going to be putting a subfloor in, and we're going to make an old bathroom ready to be a brand new one.